G'day everybody, my name is Lowell and welcome to the channel. So for our weekly dose of David Phelps this week, we've got Hello Beautiful. Now, we know we've done this song before. However, David's come back with this song for Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month. He's added some stories to it, and he's also added the lyrics to the video too. So let's jump in. Now, you know, if you watch my channel, I work in aged care, and the first time I saw this song, it floored me completely. So now it's going to have some more personal stories to it. We'll see how we go. Let's jump in and let's do David Phelps with Hello Beautiful.
My dad had a stroke a few years prior to that, and my mom was in the later stages of Alzheimer's disease, and would often fight me. And that this night was one of those nights where she was slapping and saying horrible things. And in my own frustration and tiredness, I started to say that I can't do this anymore. But I feel like the Lord put his hand over my mouth and just closed it for me. And instead, I was finally able to get her onto the toilet to use the bathroom. And I sat down on the floor and just started to cry. And in that moment, she knew who I was, and she reached her hand out, her very small little hand, and started to pat me on the head and just said, "It's okay, hon," which made me cry all the more and still makes me cry. And yet I am so grateful that although I didn't know it was a moment of awareness for her, she definitely knew who I was. And I'm so grateful that she never heard those words come out of my mouth, that she never heard me say I couldn't do it anymore, because with the Lord's help I could. As long as he called me to that place, I could do it. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity. My husband and I often say we would do this again in a moment. And her and my dad are both with the Lord now, and so grateful that we were able to see them through that final journey of their life.
It's working aged care, you know, over the decade or so that I've done it, it's many times when you just think, nah, I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. You know, it's too much. And you get little moments like that just, or a family member will come up to you and say, look, you know what? I don't know how you do it. You know, thank you very much for this, and thank you very much for looking after this person. It just resets your clock, and you go again. You know, it's tough work, but those little moments that keep you going, definitely keep you going. Okay, so this one is from Norma. So there's obviously verbal and then obviously written ones as well. I'll leave that on the screen so you can read it for a little while. Jeez. It's stories like that and I think that's the power of David's music too, you know, where you can reflect on the words that he uses in his songs, and just those moments where, you know what, we're all going through this. You know, there's so many people every day go through it, and it's beautiful songs like, you know, which David's written that highlight it too. You know, with everything that's going on in the world, you know, the world is a messed up place at the moment. You know, it's just things things like this unfortunately get pushed to the background. You know, Alzheimer's awareness, and you know, there's a whole range of dementia out there. You know, from early onset to infantile dementia as well, which is a horrible disease. Um, and it's little things like this that, bring it to the forefront a little bit. And we thank David for it. Oh my God, beautiful. Little things. And they always say, music is the last memory that will leave your brain. Music and smells. It's amazing, amazing.
My dad had Alzheimer's, and it was a really sad time for us because he didn't know us in the last couple of years. But we had hope that because he was a man of God and always lived a life for the Lord, that he would go to be with his Heavenly Father. And when he passed on, it was a joyous time for us that he had a better life ahead of him and he would be receiving his heavenly reward.
My husband was first diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's when he was just 62 years old. He has been
So early onset is anything under 65. It's getting more and more every day. It's ridiculous.
gone from us now for over 4 years.
Wow.
When he was first diagnosed, we agreed that he would always remember life with laughter. We said we would laugh with him and sometimes at him, which he agreed to, and we did daily. Now, myself, my children, and all of my grandchildren have a grandpa bear to remember their grandpa.
That is so beautiful. So beautiful.
I have a beautiful, precious moment. It's not regarding my husband, as in your song, but it's regarding my brother. When I visited him after I knew he had Alzheimer's, it was obvious that he didn't know who I was. I was there on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and he didn't know me until Wednesday late in the afternoon when I followed him out onto his front porch, and I heard him muttering some words, but in among the words he said something about his mother, and I said to him, I know that she's my mother too. And at that he turned around and his eyes lit up and he said, I know who you are. You're my sister. You're Susan. And the tears flowed and the smiles just couldn't be kept down, and we just hugged and laughed.
It's little memories like that you can hold on to. Just nobody can take them away. It's so beautiful.
A few years ago, my dad was diagnosed with dementia, and for a few years he did pretty well. Little things here and there that he would forget, but you could tell that he was definitely having some issues. A few years later, he was also diagnosed with lung cancer. As the cancer progressed, so did his dementia. Now, I think every kid wants to hear their dad or parent say that they're proud of them. And as he got more sick, I realized that wasn't going to happen. And I was okay with that. As he got closer and closer to his ending days, he slept more and more. But I felt in my heart like he could still hear me. So I wanted to take the opportunity to tell him how much he meant to me. So as I was pouring my heart out to him and telling him how much I appreciated him and everything he did for our family, I looked up and his eyes were bright. He was smiling and he said, "Sweetheart, I am so proud of you." And those were the last words I heard my dad say.
My father Barry has frontal lobe dementia as well as brain atrophy and has been suffering with this horrible disease for a number of years now. While he is in a home, we're still able to visit him as much as we can during these precarious times. And one thing that lights me up and lights up my father is when he sees me, he indeed does say, "Hello, beautiful."
These last, 2 years or so have been so hard on the people we care for and families as well, because, for a long time we weren't able to get together, or have visitors in the facility. It is so hard, so hard. I'm just thankful that we all have that technology that we can actually connect somewhat face to face, so even though it's definitely not the same as actually being there, but Christmas time is, when we're not able to let people in for Christmas time, it's just heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking.
She'd given up trying to meet the right one. She was so done, hoping that each time was different. Sick of the mind games and learning new names, until they collided and all of her papers went flying. Frustrated and doing her best not to cry. And that's when he saw her, really saw her. And he looked in her eyes and he said, "Hello, beautiful. I don't know your name, but I look in your eyes and it feels like I've known you forever. Beautiful. That's all I can say. Do you think we could try to stay in this moment together? Hello, beautiful." Some say it was magic, like shooting starlight, love at first sight. They found a house in the country, under the dogwoods, and life was so good. And after work he'd rush back to their home once again. He'd wrap his arms around her waist, and then he smiled as he held her, how he held her. And he looked in her eyes and he said, "Hello, beautiful. I don't know your name, but I look in your eyes and it feels like I've known you forever. Beautiful. That's all I can say. Do you think we could try to stay in this moment together? So I'm not letting go. Respects no one, it can be so mean. It was his memory. At first it was small, like the car keys, the last time the kids came, and then his own name. And every day she sat beside him and held his hand, praying he'd return to her once again. Until one brief moment, precious moment, when his eyes lit up and he said,
"Hello, beautiful."
Every time. Woo.
"Hello, beautiful. I don't know your name, but I look in your eyes and it feels like I've known you forever. Beautiful. That's all I can say. Do you think we could try to stay in this moment together? So I'm not letting go. Hello, beautiful.
such a wonderful video. Wonderful video. You know, it just sums up everything that you may want to say. It's just, as I said, the first time I watch it, you know, I see it every day. You know, people have those flashes of, you know, being lucid, being cognitive, being there in the moment, and then it's gone again. You know, sometimes families are lucky enough to be there when it happens. Sometimes it's a member of staff. It's wonderful when it happens. You know, it's wonderful when it happens. You know, you see that the real person. You know, when you care for someone with dementia, you know, you get stuck in that. It happens to everybody. You know, after a while, you get stuck in that. You see that dementia, and you got to remember yourself. You know, that's not the person. That's the disease. You know, so when they're, you know, like that lady, that first lady in the video said, you know, when they become, you know, physically aggressive, whatever it is, you know, hitting out and saying all these things, that's not them. That's the disease, you know. This subject is so heartbreaking to everybody involved, you know, families and, you know, the person themselves when they have that moment of, and they just, sometimes they realize, and it's, you know, it can be heartbreaking. It's even worse when family sees it. You know, sometimes they think, oh yeah, oh no, you know, dad's coming back, and you know what, and next time they come in and he's just as bad. You know, it's just trying to explain to people, you know, some people, you know, they have that moment and then it's gone again, you know, so you got to live in that moment as much as you can and enjoy it. It's such a terrible disease, you know, and it's becoming worse and worse, you know, especially with the early onset. Anything under 65 years is early onset, and it's just, I mean, I've worked with people 50, 45 with dementia, and then sometimes I work with somebody who's 105 who has dementia and could tell you everything she had to eat yesterday. It's just ridiculous. You know, it just, she is such a strong lady she is amazing. 105 and just keeps going. But, you know, dementia and everybody progresses differently, you know, where it is in your brain, even if it's in the same spot in two people, it's completely different as well too. So, yeah, it's fascinating and terrifying at the same time. But anyway, apart from that, what a wonderful, wonderful video David's put out there, you know, to raise that awareness of Alzheimer's and brain awareness, you know. Brain awareness can obviously be something like, you know, an acquired brain injury, you know, so somebody who's had a car accident, something like that, you know, so, and you got to remember people who also, alcoholics can get dementia-like symptoms from their drinking as well too, so, you know, that obviously encompasses that whole, anything to do with the brain, you know, awareness. I think it's a wonderful thing to bring to the forefront that everybody will notice as well too. So, unfortunately, as I said, you know, it kind of gets pushed to the back a little bit, you know, pushed to the back. But yeah, it is a wonderful thing that David done. And to use his song for that, that cause is just beautiful, you know, so it is a wonderful song. It's a wonderful, I can't watch it too much because it's just heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. Every time I watch it, it's a different, you know, resident that I'm thinking of. It's a different family member that I know of. You know, it's just, and it's just heartbreaking. So, I haven't watched it for a while, I must admit, because the last time I watched it, it's just like, no, I can't do it. It's too much. Wonderfully sung, as per usual, from David. Wonderfully written as well, too, but at the moment, a little bit too close to, you know, so, but nonetheless, just wonderful music. So, and thank you to obviously everybody who shared their stories on it as well too. So it takes a lot to open yourself up like that, to share it with the wider audience as well too. So all those that took part of it too, thank you for using your stories to raise awareness as well too. So that's what it's all about. So, but guys, thank you very much for joining me today. Make sure, if you are in this situation, if you are caring for a loved one, or know somebody who's caring for a loved one, all we can do is just be there for them. And if you're caring for a loved one too, just remember that you're not alone. You're never alone. If you need to talk to somebody, there's people out there you can talk to too. So I'm sure somebody will reach out. If you reach out, they will definitely answer too. So, but guys, thank you very much for spending some time with me today. Great video. So thank you very much for the weekly dose of David. We'll be back next week as well too. So guys, thank you very much. Make sure you stay safe wherever you are. And guys, I'll definitely see you in the next reaction video. Did you enjoy that? Why not check out their playlist?